Hey guys, this is Anna and welcome back to my channel, Peach Kimu. Today I'm going to be talking about what it feels like when my migraines start to build. Even though this is mostly coming from my perspective and the things that I have gone through, most migraine sufferers do have the same basic symptoms. So if you're trying to understand anyone with migraines better, then the things that I'm talking about will probably apply to them too. The main thing that we all have in common is the intense pain that we feel. There are some symptoms that thankfully I do not get, but I know other people get, like blindness. Sometimes it's partial blindness, sometimes it's full blindness. And a lot of people can also get numbness and they won't be able to walk or talk or anything. They'll just lay there in intense pain and not be able to do anything for themselves. Thankfully, I've never experienced those things, but I have experienced very, very intense pain. And it's always intense pain because that's what a migraine is. It's an intensely bad headache. It's not just a bad headache or even a really bad headache, but it's an intensely bad headache. One that is so bad that you are completely debilitated, meaning that you can't work, you can't study, you can't do anything. You are just debilitated. So in my case, when migraines build, it's usually triggered at first from light or digestive discomfort, but there are many, many things that can trigger my migraines. I've had smells do it. I've had heat or tiredness trigger migraines for me. But no matter what triggers my migraines, it always starts first with this feeling of strain in my right eye. Sometimes it's in the center, sometimes it's on one of the sides of my eye, but it's always in my right eye. And that strain will immediately cause my stomach to start feeling nauseous and my stomach muscles to start getting really, really tight. It'll immediately cause my neck muscles and my back muscles or my shoulder blades to start feeling really, really tight. And then over the course of the next 4 or 5 hours, usually these things just intensify. They get worse and worse and worse. And the tighter my muscles get, the more my head will hurt and the more my eye will hurt. And the more my head hurts, the more it makes my stomach hurt and the nausea just gets really, really intense. And as you can imagine, this kind of pain getting super severe, like I said, it becomes debilitating and I just can't do anything for myself. And my body becomes so sensitive that even tiny movements like turning over in bed, like if I'm laying on my right side and I feel like I need to turn around and lay on my left side, even that kind of movement, something that small, feels really, really intense and really painful because my body has become so hypersensitive. A few years ago, my migraines were actually worse than they are now. And it would get to a point where I would just burst out into tears and cry uncontrollably, sometimes for hours and hours on end. And it was the kind of crying where if someone had walked in who didn't know about my condition and had seen me crying, they probably would have expected that I lost somebody that I loved. It was that kind of bad breakdown. That's how much my head hurt. And I know this sounds really dramatic, but I'm being as bluntly honest with you guys about this as I can. Migraines are that severe. There's a point that you get to where you just can't tough it out anymore. I've explained my migraines to people before and told them that sometimes it really makes me just burst into tears because I'm in that much pain. And they'll go, yeah, I get migraines too, but I mean, I just tough it out. I don't cry. And I'm like, well, you probably don't experience migraines like you think you do. Or if you do, they're probably not as bad because this is what migraines are like. It's all about intense pain. And in many cases, it's intense pain that you just can't do anything about. Even people who have medications that they take for their migraines, the medication doesn't exactly make them feel better. It might lessen the pain in their head, but it doesn't make them feel like, oh, well, better. I can just get back to whatever I want. I can just live life again or go back to work or college or whatever. Most of them are not that effective. And in my case, I used to take a medication and it was not that effective. And the medication was also harsh, because migraines, being as harsh as they are, it tends to take a harsh medicine to calm them down. So in my case, when I would take medication, what would happen was the pain would basically go away mostly, and it was enough that I could maybe sit up and use a computer or something, but I was by no means well enough to go back to work or go back to college or run around and do anything energetic. I felt very sluggish, and I would get depression, and I would also get this like really, really intense feeling of like happiness and like, wow, my life has all kinds of possibilities. And these were all side effects of the medicine that I would take. So it was still a very exhausting experience, and the medication would also aggravate my digestive organs, and it has actually done some damage to them over the course of a few years, which I was taking them on. And at this point, I have some digestive difficulties that I'm trying to heal. But yeah, I would always feel that too as a side effect of the medicine. And I also started getting anxiety attacks as a side effect of the medicine, which before the medicine I never used to get. But after taking it for a few years, I started getting anxiety attacks, and it was really intense. And the first time I got one, it was an experience that just came out of nowhere, and it was really, really scary. If you don't know what an anxiety attack feels like, it basically feels like your body is shutting down on you and trying to die, and you can have your hearing go out on you, and you can feel like intensely nauseous, and like the muscles in your body just kind of like clench up really quickly, and then it can like let go and you feel like you're blacking out. It's really, really scary. There's actually nothing physically wrong with you aside from stress, but it feels so intense and comes so out of nowhere, and especially if it's your first anxiety attack, it can be absolutely terrifying. So yeah, that's my experience with medication personally. And at one point I did have to stop taking it because it was also causing me to stop breathing while I was trying to sleep. And so yeah, it was like getting to the point where it was really too much for my body, and I had to stop taking it, or it was going to be really bad. So my migraine medication does not make you feel all better. It can relieve some pain, but you still feel pretty bad. And so anyway, when my migraines were worse a few years ago, I was already off the medication, and the pain would get so intense that, like I said, I would just burst out into tears, and it would be uncontrollable crying for about 8 hours straight. And that was after 8 hours of already trying to tough out intense pain. So you have about 16 hours right there that I was just suffering with intense pain. And then there's about another 8 hours or so where the pain would lessen enough that I wouldn't be crying anymore, but I would still be in bed, still unable to do anything, still experiencing really, really intense pain. And then finally, after maybe a couple more hours, the migraine would start to calm down, and I would start to feel more normal again. But because this whole experience was so intense, it would leave me feeling exhausted for days. I had this feeling of I got hit by a truck and then run over with it. It was that bad. And even these days, I don't cry anymore when I get migraines. Thankfully, they've lessened enough that I don't have that uncontrollable crying all the time. But I do often feel like I want to cry because of the stress. Like it's mentally and emotionally stressful to have a migraine in the first place because it hurts a lot. And then also it's very isolating because you have to be in your room, laying down in the dark for a long time, by yourself sometimes, and probably in most cases by yourself. And so it's very lonely, it's very boring, there's nothing you can do to pass the time. It makes you feel super stir crazy. And so between the mental, emotional, and physical distress of it, by the time it's over and it goes away, you just feel really, really done. You're absolutely exhausted in every possible way. And for the next few days, your body is so worn out. It can take about 3 or 4 days to recover for me. For some people, it can even take up to a week. And you just kind of have to sit around at home being really, really careful not to overstress your body, because if you do, the migraine can come back. And so I just have to like sit around myself on the couch and just kind of aimlessly scroll my phone because I don't feel well enough to do anything else. And then I will still have these moments of, oh my gosh, just I'm getting hit with exhaustion from all this again, and I have to go and lay down. And then I'll wind up in bed for maybe the whole rest of the day sometimes. And if not the whole rest of the day, then for at least 4 or 5 hours sometimes. I'll think maybe I just need to lay down for like an hour or maybe 3 hours. And then by the time I get out of bed and I check the time, it's been way longer, like double the time that I thought it was going to be. I hope this video has been helpful for those of you who want to understand migraines better, and even those of you who just need to know that someone understands. I've been suffering with migraines for a long, long time, over 10 years, and I know how bad it can be. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people who suffer with this, so you're definitely not alone. And if you're a loved one of someone who suffers with migraines and just need help understanding or help knowing how to take care of them, you're not alone either. So I really hope this video was helpful. I hope that you guys will stay tuned for more videos that I have coming out on migraines. I really want to talk about this a lot so I can help people understand it as best as I can. So thank you guys for watching, and I have more videos coming out soon, not just on migraines, but on all kinds of things. I'll be talking about K-pop, and I'll be talking about like cute DIYs that you can do for your room, just all kinds of stuff. So please stay tuned, and I love you guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.